Looking three. Got it. Oh, baby.
It's a goal. The Stanley Cup to the Chicago Blackhawks.
You can put it on the board. Yes.
What up, sports world, and welcome into the Sports Zone. It's our last show of the year. I'm Chris Hyland, and I couldn't think of three better guys to be joined by than Mike O'Brien, Tim Van Dyne, and Jeff Hager.
We're going to bring you Hawks and Blues highlights from Game 6.
Also, you'll see an interview with the ISU's women's tennis coach.
But first, we'll kick off with Illinois State baseball. They were taking on Southern Illinois yesterday. And when we get this one started, in the bottom of the 8th, the Redbirds trailed 3-1 until Paul DeYoung came up to bat and singled to right, driving in a run. And then Jack Krzyzewski and Brock Stewart also had a good game, and they kept things rolling as they fired a line drive down, scoring 2 with the bases loaded. Starting pitcher Jeremy Rhodes stole the show, though. He threw a complete game with yesterday's win. Illinois State improves to 11-2 at home, and they round out their 5-game home streak tomorrow against Purdue.
The Illinois State softball team completed a 3-game sweep of Missouri State with a 3-0 victory Sunday morning. This marks the team's 8th straight win, their longest winning streak since the 2010 season, moving their overall mark to 500 for the first time since February 7th. Reagan Romchek, of course, once again the winning pitcher, throwing her 4th shutout of the season. With the win, the Redbirds are now in first place entering the final week of conference play. ISU will host Drake in a doubleheader today. First game beginning at 3 p.m., second game at 5 p.m. So both the baseball team and the softball team riding some hot streaks. Going into the last stretch here of conference play, Redbirds haven't been in first place, at least the softball team, all year long. They finally jumped Wichita State, and Reagan Romchek's one of the hottest pitchers in the conference.
Yeah, it's going to be a key month for both the Redbird baseball and softball teams. And like both of you said, riding 7- and 8-game winning streaks, there's no better time for any sport to be playing your best ball than in that last month of the season. The Redbird baseball team and the Redbird softball team have set themselves up very nicely once it comes to the conference tournaments in about 4 weeks.
Yeah, and the Redbirds are rolling right now, and like you said, you want to be on a hot streak going into those NBC tournaments, and the softball team, they win the tournament on a pretty much annual basis. They have a really good
playing at home
program
for the tournament's going to help them.
And that's, yeah, like you said, that will definitely help them, and hopefully they can keep on that 8-game winning streak coming up here.
And one thing that's really important to touch on is how great the pitching has been for ISU baseball. They had 31 strikeouts this weekend. It all starts with Dan Savas, who had 11 strikeouts and 9 innings of work Friday night.
They're top in the nation of strikeouts per 9 innings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So their pitching has been so dominant, and their offense is also, although they struggled a little bit this weekend, they still have a pretty good lineup, a bunch of guys hitting over 300, and they're rolling right into postseason play.
I'll be very interested to see how that pitching staff holds up this week. They've still got a very big week with a couple non-conference and midweek games. They played 12 innings Friday night, and they played 15 on Saturday. So it'll be a test for the Redbirds this week coming up, absolutely. Well, in high school baseball, Normal Community swept a doubleheader with Champaign Centennial on Saturday, winning the first game 11-0. Keegan Fields was the winning pitcher, and Alexis Schwarzentruber had 2 hits, including a 3-run jack in the third. Normal is now 13-4 and undefeated in conference play. U-High also won decisively over Chatham Glenwood 15-4 to claim the Washington tournament title. Bailey Larson had 4 home runs and 9 RBIs in the game for the Pioneers, who are now 14-2 on the season. High school baseball action on Saturday. 2 inner-city teams swept doubleheaders. Central Catholic jumped all over Elmhurst Immaculate Conception in Game 2, 18-2. Ryan McBeth was the winning pitcher for the Saints, and he also added 2 hits. Central is now 11-7 on the season. Bloomington took 2 from conference foe Urbana, winning a slugfest 12-8 in Game 2. Tyler Workman had 4 RBIs for the Raiders. Bloomington is now even at 9-9 with a 3-0 record in the Big 12.
Well, the Bloomington Edge had a 2-game winning streak going into Saturday's game with the Lincoln Haymakers, but the Haymakers proved to be too much for the Edge as Lincoln cruised to a 58-27 victory. The Haymakers were led by quarterback Nick Rhodes, who tossed 4 TDs, and the Edge are in action this Saturday as they take on Kansas City Coyotes at the U.S. Cellular Coliseum. Redbird football had the annual spring showcase at Hancock Stadium yesterday afternoon. Scott Kuhn and Cameron Meredith had 2 touchdowns, all 3 from Blake Winkler, who went 5 for 6 last year. The Redbirds went 5 and 6. The red team won 24-7, and Winkler was 11 for 16 with 251 yards. The Redbirds return in August for practices and as the season begins on September 6th at home against Mississippi Valley State.
The men's golf team is set to compete in the Missouri Valley Championships today and tomorrow. The 2-day 54-hole tournament will be played at TPC Deer Run in Silvis, Illinois. The teams will play 36 holes today and finish up with 18 holes tomorrow. Illinois State is picked to finish second in the pre-championship poll behind Wichita State. Evansville is picked to finish third in the tournament. The ISU women's tennis team competed in the Missouri Valley Championships this past weekend, losing to Wichita State in the semifinals 4-0. Illinois State knocked off Northern Iowa on Friday 4-0, earning the Saturday matchup against Wichita State. The team finished the season with a 10-10 overall record and finished 2-4 in conference play. Wichita State knocked off Drake 4-0 in the MVC Championship. The men's tennis team was also in action this weekend in their Missouri Valley Championship, and they faced a similar result. The team knocked off Bradley on Friday 4-0, earning a semifinal matchup against Drake on Saturday. The Bulldogs would go on to defeat the Redbirds 4-0 and dominate the Wichita State Shockers 4-0 in the Missouri Valley Championship. The Redbirds finished the year with an 8-13 overall record and 1-3 in conference play.
Well, coming up on the Sports Zone, we'll dive into the Donald Sterling controversy.
But first, Mike and Jeff will take a look at the highlight zone this week and all that action from this weekend's Bulls and Blackhawks highlights.